only gotten a passer rating in over a season once, over 100. And I'm counting, let's see, only 3 seasons where he doesn't have double-digit turnovers and interceptions.
Well, in 2013, he had 33 touchdowns and
20 interceptions.
Almost 4,300 yards.
And only an 8, but that's what I'm saying. You still have his highest turnovers, not even accounting fumbles. I'm pretty sure if I go look at there'll probably be 6 or 7 fumbles.
I'm not saying he's been perfect, but you also have to look at, I believe that was the last year with Jay Gruden. They shifted to Hugh Jackson the very next year, which, I mean, he lost 1,000 yards because of it. Exactly.
God, I don't know why. Some people still vouch for him like, oh, maybe we should give him another chance. No, Hugh Jackson is not a good coach. But also, I will say this. He is a serviceable game manager at least. He can still run an offense. So it begs the question, and I recant my statement. The Andy Dalton argument where he was announced to be benched was before the trade deadline. Why in the hell Chicago wasn't trying to trade for Andy Dalton and trying to get something for him, at least to like, I'm sorry. I know I'm an Andy Dalton hater, but I'll take him over Mitch. Andy can still function on offense, and there's weapons there.
I think Chicago,
Andy Dalton can't move. Andy Dalton is a sitting duck, and Mitch already has to run for his life. So you're either going to suck by Mitch or you're going to suck by a dude that can't move and just gets his face punched in every freaking game. Dalton has been needing to be replaced and has been talked about needing to be replaced for like 3 or 4 years. Like, his ceiling was like the 3rd year in a row he lost to the Texans.
I mean, listen, he's not a guy that's Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, what have you. He's not going to carry your team, but if you have talent around him, he can be a part of a winning team.
I mean, look, Allen Robinson's playing like a beast this year. Taylor Gabriel's still got a straight line speed. It's just, I don't know how you overthrow him, but Mitch knows how to. I don't understand that. Then you still got Anthony Miller. You still got Trey Burton. There's still weapons there in Chicago. If he went there, they would have way more than freaking 3 wins right now, in my opinion. They would have another 2 wins on there with Dalton. Mitch, I just saw this on PFF the other day. I know some people don't take PFF for granted, but I'm going to say it anyways. PFF had Mitch ranked since the beginning of last year, not this year, as the 50th ranked quarterback. That means, folks, there was over 20 backups that was ranked higher than Mitch. I'm just saying. That's not good. And Andy Dalton was ranked higher than Mitch. I will take Andy Dalton over Mitch in that offense. You don't need to be this gunslinger in the Chicago offense. They're finally leaning on David Montgomery, and guess what Dalton does well? When you have a running back, he's able to function well. He is a serviceable game manager that can get the ball down the field.
He has Joe Mixon, who is better than anything they got.
With an offensive line that's worse than Chicago's.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right, I'll give you that.
Cincinnati's offensive line is a revolving open door.
As far as Chicago goes, they listen. You see it all the time in politics. You see it just as often in sports. Front offices don't want to admit when they're wrong. They would rather double down. And Chicago was so bad and so wrong in taking Mitch over Watson and Mahomes. They cannot.
4 draft picks for 1 spot, folks.
They just cannot come out and do the right thing. And like you said, trade for a more productive, veteran quarterback.
They said they're going to stick behind him. They said they're going to stay behind him today and stay loyal because they believe in the kid. What do you believe? He hasn't done anything.
Right.
Well, here's. Listening to the Hallis Hall Brawl, guys, today. Shout out. And by the way, Austin will be on tomorrow on our roundtable.
He says he's almost regretting it because how the Bears season.
No, that's not what this is about. This is about
I know. I
together.
told him that. I'm like, dude, we're talking about football. That's it.
It's football. We're not there to give. I mean, there's obviously going to be. We all give each other shit. But anyway, my point is, I'm going to go back to Austin's point here because it's the only valid argument and it's a damn good one to keep on Pace's pace. Haha, you like how I did that? Anyway.
I might hang up for that one.
Fuck you.
There's a laugh. There's the guy we know.
All right.
Put his head in the freezer real quick.
Yeah. All right. So.
In other words, he went outside in Michigan.
How dare you?
It is cold out there. I have a fire tonight. It's freaking cold.
We
had snow last night. I woke up to snow on my vehicle. All right.
When I first joined the call, Dylan, he had like some Jedi brown robe on. So it was like wool. I was like, good God.
That is my house sweatshirt. Okay? Like, why are we always talking about my wardrobe and hair? Like, come on.
My house sweater, eh?
I'm sorry. Let's get back to the Bears talk.
The Bears, his point, Austin's point, and it's valid, and I can see why Pace, if he's going to stick to this. Still to this point, there are quarterbacks that were drafted this year that still have more starts as a starting quarterback from college and as a pro than Mitch Trubisky. Here's the problem. What they need to do is they need to admit this kid is their long-term future, but it's time to sit his ass down and let him, they always say, you can't do that to a quarterback. He's only getting worse. At the beginning of the season, the first 3 games, when we had week 4, when we had our first NFC North roundtable, we all admitted, even you, Dave, that although there was some things that still drove us nuts, we saw growth in his mechanics and improvement in his mechanics and accuracy and stuff. We admitted there was regression at times, but the fact that there was improvement significant for us to notice on tape and in games, we were giving him credit.
And it all imploded his shoulder back
injury,
last season.
His shoulder injury since that time, and then rushing back while he's rehabbing, he's went back to old. It's time to sit him down and let Chase Daniels do it, and instead of just taking him out, this is the time where Pace needs to have a meeting, bring in Nagy, bring in him, bring in his agent, and whoever else that needs to be there to make Mitch comfortable. And Pace needs to explain to him, you're our long-term future. We have invested, and I have invested my name and too many draft picks for us to be able to get rid of you. But for the betterment of you and this team's future, you got to sit down. You're hurt. You're regressing. We need you to see how this offense is run from a pro. You're still our long-term future. We need you to work on your mechanics and the physical, tangible things that you can work on and be coached on for the rest of the season. And we want you involved in the offensive, not play calling, but like in the ear, like he hears the play call, he hears all the checks up to when they're cut off, and he needs a teaching moment the rest of the season. I'm not fucking around here, guys. I'm absolutely serious. I know it's never been done. I don't know if it would work, but I'm going to tell you right now, if they don't do that, I don't think he's going to improve. He has regressed so bad since coming back from that shoulder. He has gotten so much more sloppy. It's ridiculous, guys. And that's the only scenario I can see, and it's justified just for the simple fact of his actual starting quarterback youth, quote unquote, so to speak. The fact that you have drafted quarterbacks in the first round this year that have taken more snaps as a starting quarterback than Mitch even has at this point is kind of ridiculous that they have put this much on his shoulders. You don't think Mitch knows that what they did and all they gave up? You're already psychologically breaking the kid. So this whole idea that you can't pull him off the field and do the scenario I was just saying that's going to break him is BS, man. Because he's already getting psychologically broke from the pressure that's on him, from the bad play, from the receivers and other people. The defense is pissed. People are pissed. They all say they like Mitch the person, but they hate Mitch the quarterback because he's terrible. Like, you don't think that's psychologically affecting him in the locker room day to day? Like, come on.
Pace could have avoided all this if he just picked Mahomes or Watson, and they could have been in the Super Bowl last year.
And it's, not even just with...
yeah, but my point
that.
here is... No. I'm saying my point here is that you can't go back and undo something. You have to. I'm talking about solutions right here, Dave. I understand what you're doing. You're engaging in hyperbole. I'm trying to come up with a legitimate solution because keeping him on the field is only going to waste the great defense you have. They're getting hung out to dry. They have more and more hit that 30-minute devastating mark that I told Austin that it didn't matter how great his defense was going to be. You hit 25, especially when you hit 30, your defense is done. Doesn't matter what your talent is.
Here's my argument is now then. So this is his second year in Matt Nagy's system, and he still cannot operate the full function of the playbook. Matt Nagy has come out and said multiple times he has a limited amount of knowledge on this playbook. That right there shows me, one, he shouldn't have been a second-round pick. Two, why in the hell wasn't this known in the first place where he couldn't run this offense? I'm sorry. Chase Daniel came in and beat the Vikings, who are playing off their butts right now. And that's the thing. If you go watch the Vikings game, folks, with Chase Daniel, Nagy was able to open up plays you haven't seen since last season when Chase Daniel beat the Lions in Detroit last year. Mitch cannot operate that offense fully. It's Dave,
Dillon, are you smiling why I'm smiling right now? Because he's literally making my point for me. Like he's
not at all.
Why are you smiling?
No, I'm sorry. That's why I don't blame Nagy.
I'm just saying, I'm not blaming anybody here. I'm not blaming
Nagy.
I'm saying,
I'm talking to the Bears fans there. They blame Nagy for this
horrible
coaching.
What is he supposed to do?
That's my point. What is he supposed to do? He was given a polished turd.
Yes.
That's what he was.
Nagy did not pick Mitch Trubisky. It was given to him and said, this is your guy. And the fact that they gave up so much draft capital really kind of – not only has the fact that they gave up that draft capital, it is – think about where they would have been if they could have drafted Elton Jenkins this year. Just for example.
Those picks, do you know what one of those picks was? Alvin Kamara. Just saying.
I don't know. I've heard a number of. I'm not necessarily saying
and they still would have got
one
Trubisky
voice
at
is the
three.
end all be all, but a number of respected NFL personalities have said that Matt Nagy's offense has shown to be more eye candy than anything. So maybe it's not just Trubisky. It could be game plan as well.
Well,
I'm telling you, what are you supposed to do with a polished turd? What are you supposed to do?
You know what though? I will jump on this side of with Dillon though. He looks like a double D dumbass with that press conference stuff the other day. Like,
well, I mean, but that's him in a rock and a hard place. What do you expect him to do? He can't win with Mitch.
Then pull Mitch out. That's the point. Then pull Mitch out and put in.
Do it because Pace wants him in there.
Okay, but then you know what? Okay, there comes a point in every man's life where he has to make a choice. Am I a puppet or am I in control of my own shit? And that's what Nagy needs to do. He needs to decide, am I going to do shit just because I'm too scared to do what I really need to do, what's best for the team so we can put a ring on the finger, or I just want to be a puppet like somebody down in Dallas that's always doing what the general manager / owner wants, when it's clearly not the best interest of the rest of the team. And guess what? At the end of the day, that general manager has to answer to an owner. And I can guarantee you...
Well, the McCaskies are selfish. I'll say that right now.
Right. I can guarantee you that if it came down to Nagy and Pace in an argument about him pulling him off the field and doing what's best for the team, and he's trying to fire him, and Nagy gets to the ownership, I bet you Pace gets fired first. Because owners want to win because that's where they make money. Okay? And so, like, my point is like, let's be real here. We watched it in Green Bay, for God's sakes. Mike McCarthy was the most stubborn, and we talked about it on the post-game show. He had Aaron Jones for 2 years, and I don't think he had 20 catches in those 2 years. And look at what that kid can do. And you know he didn't just do that all of a sudden in the offseason. Just Aaron Jones all of a sudden knew how to run routes and catch passes. Go watch his college tape.
I know he's always been able to do that. We know that. But that's also